Hey everybody, I'm CoffeeGamer. Thank you for watching this show. I'm doing something a little bit different this time. I'm not actually playing a game, which is kind of weird, I know. But there was a small video I did before called Autism Gaming, and it got some good views on there, so I'm proud of that. However, I was very distracted. So I want to try and do it again, almost as a mini series, with less distraction, of course. So, how are we going to begin this? I think it's best just to try to get into the beginning of all this. So I'm gonna try to introduce autism to you and see how's that received, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's move on to basically the introduction of autism. I got a fancy book here. Basically, we just call this the DSM-4TR. It's a little outdated. They have number 5 out, I realize, and some things are different. For the sake of this video, this is a $100 book. I'm not going to be able to update that anytime soon. So, for the sake of this video, let's get into this. So, what is autism? It's in the pervasive developmental disorders. What are those? Well, let's see here. If I can see, I have so many bright lights, I'm having a hard time seeing here. What do we got? These disorders are characterized by severe deficits and pervasive impairment of multiple areas of development. These include the impairment of reciprocal social interaction, impairment in communication, and the presence of stereotypical behavior, interests, and activities. The specific disorders include, in this section, are autistic disorder, Rett's disorder, childhood disintegrative disorder, Asperger's disorder. Okay, and this last one's a little bit cheating. Pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified. Basically, that's the one that if you don't know and they can't figure it out, they slap that one on there. Alright, I'm just going to set that aside for now. So, basically, autism is a disorder that causes you to be a little bit different, you know? Sometimes people have a hard time making friends when they have this disorder. Some people are kind of pigeonholed into a certain idea and they're kind of stuck there. I, for one, actually have the Asperger's disorder. And I know in the DSM-5, they changed it now to Asperger's and autism are one and the same, which I kind of understand because they're very difficult to tell the difference with. However, most people are still going to try to distinguish them. It's how it is. People don't like to have change. Funny, because in autism, most people do not like change. They fear it a lot. And I know a lot of people, even normally developed people, fear autism as it is. As you can see around me here, there's the different characteristics that you might see in an autistic person. Let's see. We got some of those, like, it's over here. You know, we don't really respond to certain sounds sometimes. You know, right there. Sometimes we don't really respond to a whole lot of pain. We can take a lot of pain sometimes. I recently just hurt my ankle, and I was able to get up and walk on it. Probably shouldn't have. That was a bad idea, but oops. Let's see here. This one right here is actually one of my favorites. One right there. You'll see sometimes people with autism get overly attached to certain inanimate objects. Excuse me. Wow. Good work there. Very professional. Sorry. I'm just going to drink some coffee. Yeah, some people will get a little overly attached to certain things about it. You know, a child might get overly attached to certain toys. you know how sometimes kids might get really attached to that stuffed animal, that stuffed bear. However, they take it a little. Sometimes in autism, they take it further than we really should. But um, as you can see, why that one's my favorite one. It's weird. It's kind of stick figure is kind of caressing the body pillow. Yeah, sure. Um, but obviously, there's a lot more to it. There are parts of the brain that are differently than the normal brain. Um, with imaging in medical facilities now, ultrasounds and scans and all these other kind of things, they've been able to do a lot of good stuff with it. They've also applied it to autism research. What they have done recently, they have been able to do brain scans of certain people as they get older, and it's very interesting. They found certain abnormalities that are consistent among autistic people. Um, so we're starting to understand what's going on with it, but we're still a long way away from it. Um, yeah, these are actually really cool studies. If you want to check it out, I highly recommend some of them. Um, but some of the things about it is that our brains process things differently. In the brain there is the gray matter and there's white matter. Gray matter actually holds the information, whereas white matter is basically the pathways of information getting to the different parts of the brain. And that's how the brain makes sense of certain things. They have found in at least most autistic individuals, these people actually have more. Let's see, how do we begin this one? Basically, they actually found that an autistic person has a brain that's like 10% larger and heavier than that of a normally developed brain. But at the same time, the ratio of gray matter to white matter is much different than a normal person. There's a lot more gray matter and less white matter. Which I would assume, with all that white matter, with all that gray matter and less white matter, there's all this information being stored and soaked up. However, the pathways are getting a little choked up with all the information trying to get to and from certain parts of the brain. And that causes certain things to misfire or not get in the right place. What's a good example about this one? So with most people, when they have a thought, sometimes they have like how do I put this without sounding too crazy? They almost have like a little voice, their own internal voice inside their head talking to them. Some people might actually see words, written words inside their mind. However, I see things a little bit differently. Every thought and everything that I hear, every word that I'm told, has to be translated into a picture for me. So, for me, setting this all up, I had the mental image of how this was going to look to set this up. I have my camera, I have my monitor, my microphone, my green screen on, which I'm still working on that one. Please be patient with me on that one. Whereas most people might have a written down plan of what they want it to look like. Yeah. That's my understanding of it anyways. So when someone gives me instructions how to do something, I have to translate their voice into a picture that makes sense for me. So I think that's always kind of interesting with that too. One misunderstanding that people have, one preconceived notion without actually knowing about it. Sometimes people think that those with autism, so there's in communication, there's two different ways about it. There is receptive and expressive. Obviously, receptive is you say something to someone and that person receives it. Expressive is actually giving out that information or saying what it is. Now, it's true a lot of people with autism have less expressive skills, or sometimes not very expressive at all. Sometimes people will be just completely quiet all the time and not know how to communicate. And some people think that they don't always understand the people around them, which is a very harmful idea, I believe. Just because they can't express doesn't mean that they don't understand what you're saying, so you have to be very careful with that. There are too many stories of people who would talk about their child or their sibling right in front of them, but thinking that they can't understand them, so it's okay to talk about certain things. Of course, that could cause a lot of different problems. It still hurts the person. They still hear it, they receive it, and it still hurts. I used to work with one individual, really great guy, actually. Very high receptive skills, very low expressive skills. Well, okay, I shouldn't say very high receptive. Like I said, the translation you have to go through, either say something to him or ask him a question. Wait a few seconds. Wait about 10 seconds to make sure he's fully processed what you're trying to say. And then he may make a 1 or 2 word response to it. Mostly as yeah or no. This is the way how he communicated. But again, his receptive was not too bad. You could ask him, can you please show me what you want? And he could take your hand and he could show you exactly what he wants. It's great. Those are great skills for him to have. However, some people might think his receptive skills are low, so his expressive skills are low, so his receptive is going to be about the same. So yeah, always watch out for those kind of things. Boy, what else can we talk about just as the introduction? There's so much to go on. Again, for this video, if you watched it, if you liked it, please hit the like button. And you know what? Please leave a comment somewhere on the internet. I'm sure you're watching this on YouTube. Please leave a comment below. You can ask me a question, and I'll try to make another video to get some of these questions answered. I'm hoping soon I'll be able to do more of like gaming involved. So hopefully that'll be a thing that we could do, whether it's with this going on or in that video froze. Well, there I go for trying. Oh well. Let's go back to this then. I'm still working on it. So yeah, obviously I really like gaming, and there's a lot to go on with gaming and just general computer stuff for it. So please leave a comment and or a question in the comment section below, and I will get to you as soon as I can about it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.